Okay, this is the project notes for the Millefiori quilt, the ballet quilt, and it's out of the second Millefiori book. I've already drawn my shapes in Corel Draw, and I saved it as the Millefiori quilt. I've got the 4 shapes drawn right here. They have outlines and fills on them. I'm going to have to remove the fills on them so that my Brother machine doesn't try to color in the whole thing. So I'll get to that in just a minute. So I'm going to go over to my little tab that says Export Shapes, and I've already brought that one in. So I want to remove the fill and then add an outline. I'm just going to add a thin outline. So let's do a hairline and see how it works. Any color is fine, so I'm just going to click OK. So I'm not going to send it to the Brother Canvas workspace with an outline. So I kind of want to go over why I'm using the Brother machine. Mostly it's because I like the rotary blade cutting feature, and I like the fact that I can just work with it on my local computer without having to use the internet to upload my SVGs. My favorite machine to use obviously is or always has been the Silhouette Cameo, because I have full control over where my files are located. I have great mats that I can buy that are very inexpensive. I can use the Cricut mats with the Silhouette, but I don't like the rotary blade. I've tested fabrics with it. I've used the Cricut fabric mat. I have stuck it down as well as I could, and for some reason every time it gets to a place where the rotary blade starts dragging the fabric. So I don't know if it's a feature with the rotary blade that doesn't move as freely, but you would think it could cut a geometric shape like this without any problems. It's all straight lines. So anyway, I have eliminated the Silhouette rotary blade cutting for this project. The Cricut, the biggest negative is having to upload files to the cloud first and all that. But the rotary blade works great, but the pen holder did not work with my my friction pen. And I have decided to do this quilt with hand piecing rather than the English paper piecing. I started out with the English paper piecing, but I'm getting into some really hairy or this crazy blocks. Like it uses this one and it makes this star shape with 10 points, and so all those 10 points meet in the middle, and it just did not look right with the English paper piecing. So I've done it with the hand piecing and it looks really great. So what I'm doing is I have the machine draw with a pen this diamond shape in the middle, and then I've added the seam allowance on the outside so that it could be a cut line. So I can send the SVG directly to the Brother machine with the seam allowance and everything, but it's better to do it in the Canvas workspace first. So if you look at the dimensions on the Corel Draw, the Brother machine or Brother Canvas workspace is going to round these down to 2 digits. So it's going to end up 1.82 inches by 1.32. So, which is fine. It's not that big of a deal, but it's measuring this complete drawing here the way that I have it angled. So obviously these measurements would change if I rotated this, but I'm going to send it directly to Canvas in the orientation that it is. I can change it in Canvas if I want these to be on the straight of grain without having to do it in the machine, but for this tutorial I'm not going to do that. So I would do all the rotating now, just so that it would already be rotated. But you can see the dimensions in the, let's see, where is the edit screen? I never know where that is in here. All right, so the dimensions are 1.82 by 1.32, just like I thought they would be. So I can change the angles, I can flip it, whatever I want to do to make it easier to position on my fabric. I can go down to the bottom of the edit screen and do offset of my 1/4 inch. I want it outward line, I want it beveled because it wax off those extra dog ears that you have. I'm going to leave the original line and leave this option checked. Click OK. So I do want to make sure these are grouped together, so I have to deal with it at the machine. Let's see, I think they already are. No, they're not. So I want to group them together. But in the Layers tab, I want to make sure the outer shape is going to be a cut line. And then this pink shape is going to be a pin. But I want to turn the fill off on that inner shape. And let's do an outline of, it doesn't matter what color I pick on the outline. Let's do something we'll probably be able to see better in the software or in the machine. So if you left the, and I've done this, if you left a fill in there, the machine wants to color it in. So it starts just coloring the whole thing in, which I didn't know it would do that. But anyway, this is complete and ready to send to the machine. So all I have to do is export the via the internet, or I can connect a USB cable or put it on a USB stick. So that's the great thing about the Brother. All the machines have that capability of the USB also. Okay, so but since I'm doing my project with the Brother machine, this is what I'm going to stick with. So I'm going to show the pen holder and bringing it into the machine on a separate video. Alright, as most people complain about the Brother mats, they don't stick very well for long. Even if you clean them with baby wipes in between, they just don't retain their stickiness. So my usual practice is a baby wipe, and then if that doesn't work, usually the sticky will come back after it dries. So I've been taking my old mats to the sink and using just a little bit of Dawn and water and just a soft scrubby, and just getting all the fiber and paper out of all the little cut places and letting it dry completely, and the sticky comes back. It works great for paper, but not so great for fabric. I did not want to spend $40 on a fabric mat. You do have the fabric sticky sheets that you can add to your mat, but they go bad too. They get all cut up and they quit working. So what has worked for me great for fabric is first cleaning one of my old mats. I cleaned it really well with some Dawn soap and just a little bit of water and a scrubby. I don't scrub too hard though, because I don't want to try to remove all the original glue. That's just useless trying to do that. So I'm just going to tell you what worked for this one. I cleaned the mat and got as much fiber and trash off of it as I could. I let it dry completely. I used the Zig Jumbo glue pen. I'll get that out in just in a minute. It's the Zig two-way glue, and I use the Jumbo. It has a large tip, and you just turn it upside down and you press it down and you charge the glue. It goes on blue, and if you let it air dry for me it didn't take long, it was less than an hour. Let it air dry till the blue goes completely away. If you try to put your fabric down while the glue is still wet, it's just going to glue your fabric down. It makes a permanent bond. So make sure it's completely dry, and it's going to make your mat really sticky, and it's going to be really nice for fabric. But yet I can remove my fabric. So the main thing is making sure that it's completely dry. And I did mark my mat here with Zig on there, so I'll know that this one is one that it's pretty sticky. I don't want to use paper on that because you just can't get the paper off. But it's working great for me with the fabric. And I have been able to remove the fabric and go and clean as much of the fiber as I need to off. And I have gone and washed this with water and my Dawn soap, and it's still, if you let it air dry after you wash it, just like you do with the original mats, it does remain pretty sticky. So I've done that a couple of times with the zig. So far that's working really well for me. And so it sure beats spending $40 on a special, you know, sticky mat for fabric. And I already had these old mats that weren't, it was worth me testing out, you know, if I failed, you know, I wasn't out anything because the mat was unusable as it was. So anyway, that's the method that I'm using for this project, and I'm using a standard mat with the zig glue for fabric, and it's working great. Okay, I'm going to be using one of these skinny friction pins. They have several, I have several different ones, but these are kind of skinny. So I'm using the universal Brother holder. On the Cricut, I ended up buying some generic ones, but they're a little finicky to use. It worked, but it's a little finicky. So I've moved this down to the original spot where it starts to slip my pin in there. And I have to have the, hold on just a second. This is the little measuring guide that tells you how deep to put the pin. And just make the pin go all the way down to the bottom. And I may have to, you know, make sure it stays there. Just let gravity do the work. And then don't force it, but I'll keep testing to make sure the pin is going to stay in position. So that is still a little loose. I remember on this one I had to really force it to go a little farther than it wanted to. So that seems really steady to me. You want to make sure those teeth are locked in to the spot that I chose. And then you put it in your machine with the logo on the outside and just let it drop into there and lock it into place. So you can see where I had not eliminated the feel, and it started coloring in the whole thing, which was weird to me. So I've already brought the design into the machine. I'm not going to show that. So let's see, I did not bring the new one in. So let me retrieve the data. I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing. I'm choosing from the cloud. And then I've already scanned the fabric in because I've been playing with it. So I'm not going to show the screen, but I am going to move my shape to a spot that has not been used. I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to say, please select Draw and then Start. And see what it does. Alright, so that's my stitching line. And for some reason the pen has these little places missing. My pen may be getting old, but that's enough of a stitching line for me to see. I'm going to remove the pen, and then I'm going to put my rotary blade in the machine. And then I'm going to hit OK on this screen because it finished drawing. Then I'm going to say, please select Cut. And I have not had to change any settings on this rotary blade. So without moving the original shape, I should leave it. I should do no more editing at this point, so it can cut right where I want it to. I'm just going to do some testing on the depth of the mat and the material. It does some hopping around so it can rotate the blade in the correct position to do some straight cuts. So some of those hopping motions, it's not actually cutting. So it always does it perfectly. So I've got a piece here that has the lines marked for me, and it has the little dog ears cut off, and I've been using this this way for my project, and it is working great. So